How many of us worshiping here, now, or there and then, remember the hit TV show MASH? Okay, good. For those who don't, right? It's about an American war. It's a comedy drama series from the early 70s to the early 80s. And it was one of my favorites. Hawkeye was my man. MASH follows a team of doctors and staff stationed at the 477th Mobile Army Surgical Hospital during the Korean War. I'm pretty sure it started as just a sitcom. But boy, did they get deep. And it turned into a comedy drama. Season 9's 5th episode, entitled Death Takes a Holiday, came to mind this week. A little setting of the stage is necessary. So it's Christmas Eve, and there's a ceasefire. And the 477th plans a Christmas party for a group of orphans. And Colonel Potter was playing Santa. But then a soldier came in badly wounded. And BJ, one of the surgeons, one of the Three Stooges surgeons, I often call them, is inspired to give something of a Christmas present to the soldier's family.
Get your prayer kit and hightail it over to pre-op, and mum's the word.
Oh, of course, Colonel. Excuse me, coming through. Excuse me.
Well, have you been a good little boy? Same.
Oh, Lord, does it never stop?
Just in time, Father.
Is that bad?
He's coming up. The burr holes helped.
What's his blood pressure?
90/60. Had a boy, Flanagan. I knew you could do it.
Time?
9:48.
Still a long way to go, Beach.
He'll make it. Come on, Irish. Stay with me.
He stopped breathing.
Come on. You fight.
Beach, how much fight can he have left in him?
I'm still getting a pulse, but it's awfully thready.
What time is it?
11:25.
Come on, kid. We're almost there.
No pulse.
Come on.
I'm not getting anything.
Come on.
Nothing.
Adrenaline. 1 to 10,000.
No. It's over. Let him rest.
I'll get the death certificate.
Look, you made it. Time of death, 12:05, December 26th.
Falsify a record.
Christmas should be thought of as a day of birth.
That'll be a first for me.
War's full of firsts.
And lasts.
Hold it right there. Well. Santa happens to know you've been very good boys and girls today. And because of that, we've got a special present for you. Elf?
Fudge.
All the way from Mill Valley, California. Last 4 pieces. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You see what they did there? they communed together. And although it goes against their medical ethics, they move the clock and they write down the incorrect time of death in the medical records. This allows them to tell the soldier's wife and children that Flanagan died on December 26th. And they justify their actions by saying that no child should have to connect Christmas to death. Every parent nods in agreement. But the full story is that it is connected with Christmas. The 25th of December is not only about miracles and angels and answered prayers, it's also about injustice, the abuse of power, and the shocking sacrifice of the incarnation. It might not be what you and I want to be talking with our children tonight at the dinner table. So we're trying to keep this as rated G as possible. There's quite a bit of that clip that I cut out. All of the PG stuff is on the editing room floor. The truth is that the full story is that we live in that kind of world. And if we don't talk about it with each other and with our children, where are our children going to get it? Because they're going to get it, and they're going to get it someplace else. And then we've lost all ability to tell the full story of God's love. Herod the Great, he was called. Don't let the title mislead you. Herod was the king of a very small territory consisting of Judea and Samaria and Galilee. It was handed to him with a silver spoon. He inherited it from the throne of his father, who had been appointed by the Romans to keep a tight rein on those contentious people, they thought, and they called them the Jews. Herod was a petty tyrant and a petty man. He married 10 women. He had 15 children. 10 of them were sons. And he knew that they would grow up to become men and they would be a threat to his throne. And he didn't trust his sons. And so, honoring our G-rated status, let's just suffice it to say that it's no wonder Caesar Augustus said of Herod, "It's better to be Herod's pig than Herod's sons." Herod was such a thoroughly evil and violent man that as he was approaching the end of his life, out of fear that no one would mourn his passing, he made sure that all around the area there was mourning. Yes, he really did that. So when Herod heard the news of the impending birth of the King of the Jews, he was incensed. He was the King of the Jews. And Herod flew into a rage. A rage that resulted in parents of boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity that were 2 years and younger mourning and weeping and gnashing their teeth. Herod was an insecure man, a rigid man, an intolerant man. All Herod knew was the rule of force. He was a bully. The worst kind of bully. He was a dictator. And the worst kind of dictator with an iron fist. I think Frederick Buechner put it best. He said, for all his enormous power, he knew there was somebody in diapers more powerful still. For all of Herod's enormous power and ruthlessness, he knew there was somebody in diapers more powerful still. The scriptures are realistic about the human condition, our condition. There are evil people in this world. We would rather that this story was not included in the Christmas story, but it is. Because that is the kind of world in which we live. I know many of your stories. I know my story. This is the kind of world in which we live. Too many people have a picture of God that doesn't vary too much from Herod. Yes, even today. Their God is a God in whom they live in constant fear of offending. Their God is a God in whom the disapproval, let me restate that. Their God is a God whose disapproval is deadly, whose punishment is swift, and whose mercy is non-existent. Some religious groups paint a picture of this kind of God. That's why you see the crown, Herod's crown that Glenn made after researching what Herod's crown likely looked like. On top of Mary and Joseph, it's not a bad picture. I know when you see it, you want to tilt it. They're lying down. You can see it here now. On top of the baby Jesus, on top of Mary and Joseph. And if you look carefully, you can see Emmanuel on the side and the cross on the other side. Jackson, can you put the other one up that doesn't have today's message and Herod on it? That's just the picture. Do you see the cross there reflected in the glass? Herod is oppressing it all. That is evil's desire. How sad. Here's what I will say, and I will stake my life on it. It is not God, and it is not God's will that any child should die. Some of you know this much, much better than I. Sometimes God's ways are mysterious to us at best and unknown to us at worst. And all those parts of the Bible that we don't like, all those parts that we hide from, all those parts that we build a facade around so we don't have to deal with them, it turns out they're right. The full story is always right. So this week, in our attending to Advent devotionals, try to take in the full story. I know how difficult it is. I did this last week. Friends, our God is a God of love, hope, joy, and peace. Our God does not coerce by fear or force. Rather, our God leads by the example of love. The love of an innocent babe wrapped in swaddling cloths who escaped to Egypt, who came home to a cross and gave us the empty tomb. Yes, there are Herods in this world, but they didn't defeat God, and they never will. Amen. Amen.